Grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. We're going to be looking at another parable in Matthew today, but before I do that, I want to read another verse in the Bible, and I believe that this verse that I'm going to read to you ties into what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm calling this lesson, uh, the day is approaching. And I could also title this is why I'm doing this. So I'm going to read Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25 right now. And then I'm going to tie it into our lesson for this week. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. The writer of Hebrews, he's writing to his church here, and he's encouraging people that not to give up, not to let life's problems and life's circumstances bring you down, not let other people try to take you away from learning more about God and following Jesus Christ. And he says, especially when we're meeting together, and that's talking about the church meeting together, learning about God, studying His Word, talking to each other about God, and he encourages us because he says, especially when you see the day fast approaching. The word "day" in this passage is capitalized, and that is a reference for the day of Jesus Christ, the day that Jesus Christ comes back, His second return, which I believe is going to happen. I don't know when, but I'm expecting it. And the thing about His second coming is that it's going to happen suddenly. It's like life is going to be going on as normal, and then all of a sudden, Jesus is going to appear in the clouds, and he's going to bring his church. He's going to bring the people who have trusted him for salvation. He's going to bring them to heaven at that time. So now I'm going to show you how this will tie into our passage. Our passage today is in Matthew, and it's the ending, or I should say the excuse me, the culmination of all the parables that I've read over the last couple of weeks. This parable is called the parable of the net, and this is Matthew chapter 13, verses 47 to 50. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in the baskets, but threw away the bad. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous, and throw them into the burning furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. Now, see, this is something that's very important about understanding who God is and trusting Him in for your salvation that we haven't talked a whole lot about yet. And we're going to start mixing that into our lessons over the amount of time that God gives me to teach you. And that is that there is a heaven and there is a hell, and there are going to be a certain number of people who are going to spend eternity in hell, and there are going to be a certain number of people who are going to spend eternity with heaven. There is no question about it. You can look around the world. You know that there are wicked people and there are quote unquote good people. But I don't want to use the word good because the word good is not appropriate. You have wicked people and you have saved people. The wicked people are those who reject God. Those are the ones that even hear the message of God. They hear the message of salvation through Jesus, and they choose to ignore it, or they reject it, or they curse at it, but they don't do anything with it. Then there are the people who are saved. Those are the ones that hear the message, and that they have accepted it, and they've embraced it, and they want to know more about God, and they want God in their lives. They want to see God working in their lives. They want to know more about Him. They want to know who He is. That's the difference between the wicked and the righteous. Now, what's going to happen is Jesus is going to return. There's going to be one day out of the clear blue sky, literally, Jesus is going to appear. And at that time, his angels are coming with him, and they're going to separate the wicked from the righteous, and they're going to throw the wicked into the burning furnace, which is hell, and they're going to take the righteous people to heaven to be with him for all of eternity. Look around the world right now. Every day we get closer to that day. Every day we see more and more evil. We see more and more wicked popping up. And in the last, 3 or 4 years, we've seen kind of wicked, evil stuff that's been going on that you could never dream of. That a lot of times we would go to movies and watch this stuff. We would, it was like, this is too crazy to be true. But now it's happening. And you're looking at all the wickedness. You're looking at all the people that have turned their back on God are becoming the loudest right now. Here's another thing, and this just happened just recently. It's happened this weekend. Hamas attacked Israel. Israel is going to figure prominently in the end times. As a matter of fact, everything about the second coming, about the end times and the second coming, focuses around Jerusalem. Why? Because God chose the Israelites way back a couple thousand years ago to be the conduit for Messiah, that Jesus would come through the Jewish people. That's why they're called the chosen. And God has promised to protect Israel throughout their whole history. He's even going to protect them up until the day he comes. So as the world gets more wicked and more evil things start popping up, the more it's going to be centered around Israel. And it's happening now. What's going to happen in the end times is one sure sign to know that you're in the end times is that Jerusalem will become a point of contention among the Jewish world and the Arab world, specifically Jews and Muslims. As that contention grows, there's going to be wars against Israel. And the Bible tells us that there are nations that are around Israel that are going to unite together and fight against Israel. We see that now. We see Hamas, we see Syria, Libya. Eventually, some of the Arab nations like Iran and Iraq, they're going to start coming after Israel. You're going to see other nations around. Like, look at the war in Russia and the Ukraine. That's not by accident. That's by design. Because those nations are going to come together because they're all allied with the nations in the Middle East. And eventually, they're going to come against Israel. We don't know how long it's going to be until that happens. We don't know the duration. We just know that it's going to happen, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I could tell you that in my 60 years, I've seen it get worse and worse and worse. That's what we have to expect. So, the question is, are you among the bad fish, or are you among the good fish? Are you among the wicked people, or are you among the righteous people? Have you heard God's message of salvation through Jesus Christ? Have you rejected it? Have you laughed at it? Have you mocked it? Have you scorned it? Have you done nothing with it? Or have you accepted it? Have you taken it in? Because I can promise you that if Jesus comes back tomorrow, which I'm expecting him to come back, if he comes back tomorrow, I want all of you with me, because I know that when he comes back, he's going to be bringing me to heaven. I am not getting separated with the bad fish. I don't want you to be either. Okay? So think about that for the week. All right? Have yourself a great week.